Ruchim Habaim, welcome. I'm just here in the Sukkah, dwelling in the Sukkah, and I have open in front of me the Zera Shimshon, and I was doing a little bit of reading, and I thought this would be perfect to share. He talks about the secret of the Sukkah and the merit of those who fulfill the mitzvah to perfection. And so he begins by opening with the Midrash Yalkut Shimoni, and he quotes the verse in Vayikra 23 verse 42, where it says, "You shall dwell in sukkahs for 7 days." And he sets forth this alludes to the verse describing the end of days. He says this is alluding to the end of days, and there will be a sukkah for shade from the heat of the day. And that's quoting Yeshaya, Isaiah 4:6. And it says, Amar Rabbi Levi. It says, our Levi said, the Holy One, HaKodesh Baruch Hu, said, whoever fills the mitzvah of Sukkah in this world, since he fulfilled the mitzvah of Sukkah in this world, I will shelter him from the heat of the sun on the future day of judgment. And the quote ends here in the Midrash. Now, Zera Shimshon, he examines our Levi's statement, and he says our Levi's statement is difficult for several reasons. First of all, after having said, whoever fills the mitzvah of Sukkah, what is the purpose of adding the seemingly redundant phrase, he fulfilled the mitzvah of Sukkah? So earlier we said that whoever fills the mitzvah of Sukkah in this world, since he has fulfilled the mitzvah of Sukkah in this world, I will shelter him from the heat of the sun on the future day. So why does he say he has filled the mitzvah of Sukkah? Our Levi could have just said, whoever fills the mitzvah of Sukkah in this world, HaKodesh Baruch Hu shelters him. And furthermore, Zera Shimshon goes on and he says, why did he not use the terminology of the verse and say, whoever dwells in the Sukkah, instead of saying whoever fulfills the mitzvah of Sukkah? Additionally, what is the significance of adding the words whoever fills the mitzvah in this world? Of course it would be in this world. Devarim 7:11, chapter 7, verse 11, regarding all the mitzvot, it says today to perform them, thus indicating that the mitzvot can be performed today in this world and not be performed tomorrow. So these are the questions that Zera Shimshon has, and he says there is a deep meaning behind the mitzvah of Sukkah when one must focus on in order to fulfill the mitzvah of perfection. Then the secret of the Sukkah is that it contains the power to subjugate and weaken the strength of the Sitra Achra and the negative force we'll call it Lamed Tet. And he discusses this in an earlier drush. But going on, it says, he examines here that regarding the power of the Sukkah. We also know from other sources that the unique merit of the days of Sukkot is that they subjugate the wicked nations surrounding us, about whom it is written, the wicked walk on every side. To signify this idea of subjugating the wicked on Sukkot, we circled the bima in the synagogue with the lulav. And in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, they would offer 70 bulls on Sukkot, which represents the 70 nations. Also, they performed the ritual of Nisuch Hamayim, pouring of water, and this would be poured on the Mizbeach, and which is alluded to, they would scorn him to the extreme. And this is a verse that you can find in Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs, chapter 8, verse 7. And also about the lulav, just another little thing that I read earlier about the lulav, that the word lulav has the letters lamed vav, lamed bet, which can be said as lo lev, which means has a heart. And that the remez is that the person must be in control of his heart, always in control of his heart, during prayers, learning Torah, doing mitzvot. And this means that these individuals are mentioned actually in Isaiah 29:13. They, if one does not have their heart involved with all of these things, the mitzvah and studying Torah and prayer, this is what Isaiah mentions in chapter 29 verse 13. They honor me with their mouth, and their lips are kept far away. Or they honor me with their mouth and lips, but keep their hearts far away. Sorry. And so to mean that a person must have lo lev, a heart, and a heart for Hashem. And also the word etrog has the letters aleph tav, gimel vav resh, which can be spelled like et gur. A gur means a young lion, and and this is a hint to have fear, and means that a person should have the awe of Hashem, as we read in Mishlei 28 verse 14. Happy is the man who is always afraid. And another explanation for et gur is that aleph tav is a remez to the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet in the Torah, which start with aleph and end with tav. This means the person should always uphold the entire Torah. And also, we have Hadass on the lulav. Hadass has the letters Hey, Samik, and Dalid. And this can mean that we should be silent, or should silence, because the Hey and the Samik can be pronounced Hus, which really means to keep quiet, and it even sounds like Sh, Hus. Dalid is a remez to din, judgment. So we silence the judgment when we sit in the Sukkah. And not only that, so going back to the Zera Shimshon and the secret power of the Sukkah, now we understand why Our Levi said everyone who fulfills the mitzvah of Sukkah, and did not say everyone who dwells in the Sukkah. While all Jewish people may dwell in the Sukkah, they do not necessarily focus on the hidden power of the Sukkah that one is required to focus on during these days. And this is why Our Levi specifically said everyone who fulfills the mitzvah of Sukkah. He refers specifically to those who intend for the Sukkah to weaken the power of the Sitra Achra. And he goes on to say, and strengthen the presence of the holiness in this world. And despite the fact that the world is when the outside forces rule. This is similar to what Shaul says in Corinthians. I think it's 2 Corinthians 4:4. I'm just saying from memory, I may be wrong, but it says, in whom the God, El of this world, which doesn't mean the God of all, but just El, the God of this world, rules. And these are the dark forces. And since by having this intent one truly fulfills the mitzvah of Sukkah to perfection, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu declares such a person, he has truly fulfilled the mitzvah of Sukkah, meaning to say this individual has intended to weaken the power of the accusers and the outside forces, and thus fulfilled the mitzvah to perfection. And this is why I will reward him Mida keneged mida, measure for measure, and I will shelter him from the heat of the sun on the future day of judgment. That is to say, holiness will shelter him so that the outside forces will not prosecute him. Examine further, he says, and so this is how the secret of the Sukkah, that we are actually protected from the outside forces. We weaken the negative forces around us, and we are elevating. We're elevating, and we raise the lulav in victory. And so, one other thing, the Sukkah has 3 walls, and it can be looked at as like a bet, the letter bet, or even 3 vavs. And the 3 vavs is, if you add 3 vavs together, the numerical value of vav is 6. So 6 times 3 is 18. The numerical value of chai, which means life. And so, yeah, I thought that was really a really good study as I was reading through it, and it's helping me focus and really try to focus on what's most important when we're dwelling in the Sukkah. Try to have my heart involved, and Chag Sameach.